What was it like in those times, Shirley?
A lot more people on the outside.
That's
It's like to get by a window.
You want to get by a window?
If you didn't get there early.
Okay, you didn't get by a window, okay. Anybody else remember anything from the 30s? How about the 40s? You have any more from the 40s? As I recalled for you, I was here in the 40s and never would have ever believed that I'd be able to turn the key in this lock and come here as pastor when I was here every weekend during the summer in the late 40s. And then moved to Milford in 48, 49, so never wasn't coming here for a long time. And so to be able to come back here and to open that door was a great experience watching my past history. And this has been a very important part of my own life personally and our family. Anybody the 50s? Nobody came through in the 50s. Okay, 60s. 50s.
Yes, I was born in 48, and I don't know if my parents brought me here during the summer or not. I don't know
Okay.
that.
Okay.
I do have a brief memory of the nuns bringing us in during Bible school.
Interestingly enough, the nuns that came here would have been Sister Edmund. Sister Edmund was at my 40th, and she would have been here for my 50th. She just turned 96, and she said she wasn't able to make the trip, but she tells me that I'm still on the first decade of her rosary every day. That's a good place to be, I'll tell you that. Yeah, there were 4 sisters. They were Franciscan Sisters of the Atonement. They lived in Milford, and they came into this area kind of as missionaries. And when they couldn't find a place to gather, they went down to the pavilion down here. And they asked, the little nuns walked in there in their brown habits. And of course, this is the middle of the summer, and they wore these heavy wool garments, if you know the Franciscan Sisters of the Atonement. My father used to say they had the Star of David on the front of their habit. It actually was their symbol of the Sisters of the Atonement. And they're the Greymoor people. You might know that Greymoor Franciscans that have a big community in New York, and they were the ones that were responsible for developing a lot of ecumenical activity in the United States. But they were a group of basically Irish sisters that came over here, and Father Foley set them up in Milford, and then they kind of fanned out into this area. So they were looking for a place where they could gather children for catechism on Saturday mornings, so they went looking around these different buildings, and they went down to the pavilion here on the corner that burned, as you recall, and they said, is there any possibility we could have our catechism here? And so he said, well, we're not real busy on Saturday mornings. I'm kind of busy on Friday nights. So I'm sure you could, sisters. So that's where they started catechism in St. Patrick's Parish, right down the road here. And that was Sister Edmund and her group that started that. Beautiful. 60s. Anybody came in the 60s? By that time, the church is over there.
Yes.
He moved in 59, end of 59, and it was just, my husband had gone there when he was a child, and he'd come to the cottage, and they'd stand outside.
Okay. So in 48, the church was established as a parish, 48, 49 at the time. And then after that, you were in the St. Scholastica church, moved out here in the sections, and then 1966 into the bigger church. But there's very few parishes that have such a legacy and such a history, and it's wonderful that we have this. So we hope we'll be able to continue this and keep it up as people did for us all these years.